Video games are always more fun when you can play with a friend, and with more and more of the video game industry focusing solely on multiplayer online experiences, it's easier now more than ever to get the green light from the execs on the top floor to make that MMO game you've always wanted to make. The question is, should you? Hey dudes and dudettes, I'm Derek with GameSomniac, and with the beta now officially closed, we're going to give you our review of Capcom's latest video game venture,
Project Resistance.
Now, as promised, we here at GameSomniac were picked to participate in the closed beta test, and I promise you, we didn't bribe anyone at Capcom with money or any kind of gifts in order to get a spot on the list. Everybody knows blowjobs get you farther in life. Ahem! Cough, cough!
Blowjobs!
We told you in the last Project Resistance video that we would supply you with all of the gameplay and game info we were able to release, and we did. The problem is, no one cares. Regardless, a review of Capcom's latest Resident Evil spin-off title was inevitable. And let me tell you all who weren't chosen to play the beta. You missed out on nothing! Allow me to explain. When you first start Project Resistance, you're met with a message indicating that the experience experienced by those whom are experiencing the experience are only experiencing an experience that may not represent the real experience. Meaning that we're playing something that was designed specifically to be played as a demo. It's not a portion of a fully fleshed out idea that at some point will be released. Project Resistance is really nothing more than an idea that they're testing out, which, depending on the results of the closed beta, will determine if this idea should be included outside of this little test they're conducting. The beta's performance even reflects this ideology. Granted, it takes after the Resident Evil 2 remake, like, a lot, but the problems I have in this game aren't necessarily a problem in Resident Evil 2, because the atmosphere is different, the circumstances are different. In that game, they're not problems, they're modifiers meant to enhance the experience. They just don't work well here, and in order to elaborate further and in greater detail, we're going to focus on the Survivors mode. In this mode, you play as one of 4 survivors whom harbor special abilities that will aid you and your team on your mission. Your mission is to escape the confines of the Umbrella Corporation while an unseen, overpowered, godlike force uses its unfair advantage to literally fuck every aspect of your day up 6 ways from Sunday. My biggest problem with the survivors is that no matter who you pick, they are slow as balls, all of them on purpose! The animations in this game are way too long and or too slow. This is a time-based, fast-paced 1v4 asymmetrical online multiplayer game, where for the survivors, every second counts, and yet the animations to do the simplest of things, like knifing an enemy, shooting a pistol, slipping through a door that's cracked open, or getting up from the ground, drags ass. More specifically, the Scooter Lady's ass from Dead Rising 3.
Time to...
Then there's a point in the game where your character starts to experience the symptoms of the virus as you take damage, and unless treated with blue herbs or anti-infection spray, your character will take moments out of the game to stop moving, start an animation reflecting the severity of your illness, then dramatically drags out the animation with some award-winning acting before giving control back to the player. Honestly, it takes forever. I don't know which is worse, shooting your handgun or recovering from an enemy attack. Holy shit! Seriously, your character will fire one shot from the pistol, and you have to let the animation finish before you can fire another one. There is literally no urgency at all because of how slow these characters are, and it drastically hurts the player due to how much time it consumes. This also gives the Mastermind even more opportunity to capitalize on opposing players at any given time, and it's all due to bad design. And again, Leon was slow in the Resident Evil 2 remake, but he was a cop in uniform, carrying items and lots of guns. It made sense for him to be slower. Not to mention, there wasn't a time limit, so he could crawl throughout the whole game and there wouldn't be any repercussions for his lack of agility. Knowing your character is slow in a horror game builds tension and creates suspense, especially when you need to run away from the enemy. But this is more of an action-oriented style game, and the same logic doesn't fit here. Make the survivors faster. The Mastermind needs to always be looking to see where they are, paranoid that they may have gotten ahead of him, and right now, they couldn't get ahead of a turd in the street if they used rocket skates. Alright, now let's talk about the Mastermind. Originally I thought playing as the survivors, the same 4 characters over and over, would end up making the experience dull and monotonous over time. Unfortunately, this turned out to be true for the Mastermind. The sad truth is this game is horribly unbalanced, and it gives all of the advantage to the Mastermind. And I'm not even talking about being able to control the T-103 Tyrant. I have to laugh because everybody thought that was going to make the Mastermind too overpowered, like that was going to make or break the deal, but let's forget that ability even exists, because I can make players rage quit even without controlling the Tyrant, and honestly it's more fun not to use Mr. X. The Mastermind essentially has a deck of cards. Each card has a different enemy or buff that the Mastermind can play. In the bottom left corner is your energy, which caps out at 10. Each card has a numerical value attached to it ranging from 0 to 10, and the cards you choose to play are determined by how much energy you have accumulated at the time. So if you have cards that require 8 energy points and you're only at 2, you have to wait for the points to build up, which happens automatically. Now in theory, this is a solid system for the Mastermind, but the problem is the survivors are so slow, multiplied by the IQ of the people controlling the survivors, and it doesn't even fucking matter. The enemies, just like in the Resident Evil 2 remake, are bullet sponges. All of them. They all suck to fight, and to make things worse, they have different categories of zombies just to patronize you. For example, all of the zombies are tough, but they actually have what they call tough zombies. Tough being a nicer way to say they're fat as fuck. And just in case the survivors breeze through the tough zombies, you can also summon an armored zombie, because why not? There's even a zombie that regenerates health. The reality is, I could summon 4 or 5 enemies in one room, and in the amount of time it would take the opposing players to clear out the enemies, I could have built up enough energy to summon 6 or 7 more somewhere else.
Monsters. That's refreshing.
You need to limit the Mastermind to only 3 to 6 enemies summoned at one time. Trust me, with the buffs and traps, it's not going to hurt the Mastermind's chances having limited summoning privileges. It's also worth mentioning that during my time playing the beta, I was paired with people quite often that I can only assume were casual gamers. Because when you're standing at the exit for 5 fucking minutes, waiting to go to the next area, and they're lollygagging in some room somewhere in a galaxy far, far away, aka the beginning of the goddamn map, as if they're still looking for the key card to unlock the door like a complete brainlet, they are the epitome of casual gamer status.
Whenever. Damn it, will you two just get in the time machine?
So believe me when I say, between the Mastermind summoning privileges, traps and buffs, Mr. X, and the amount of stupid people out there with a PS Plus account, the Mastermind is way overpowered. Okay, let's take a minute to address the smaller details of the game, like the weapons. Are the weapons good? No, they are not. They could be good, but I found the biggest problem with the weapons, again, goes right back to what's wrong with the survivors. Each weapon has this drawn-out animation that has to finish playing before you can fire off another round, slowing down the pace of the game and giving your enemies too much of an advantage due to the fact that you can't adequately defend yourself via bad game design. January and Valerie start out with handguns, while the guys start out with nailed 2x4s. Then there's a total of 2 item boxes per area. There's always one at the beginning of the round, and then one somewhere deeper into the map. These item boxes allow you to buy other things like hand grenades, weapons, health supplies, and ammunition, but the ammunition that you can buy out of the box is the same that you pick up around the map, and it only applies to the handgun. You can't replenish the ammo for the weapons you buy out of the box for some reason. Now, there were times during the game that I was out of ammo, and after fighting zombies and collecting items throughout the map, I somehow ended up with more ammo for those weapons, but I'm still trying to figure out how that happened. The weapons available to you are quite limited too. You can buy melee weapons like a steel bat, sledgehammer, or a torch, and you have your choice of firearms like this revolver called the Quick Draw Army, which is pretty much Claire's special revolver in the original Resident Evil 2. There's also Leon's Matilda, which works better than the standard handgun, and you can resupply it with ammo you pick up around the map or buy from the box. There are 2 automatic weapons. One is the MQ-11, which is just a shittier version of the submachine gun from the original Resident Evil 2, but with a modified stock for recoil absorption. The only problem is that doesn't even play into the game. Then there's the LE5, which is really just an MP5. Both guns suck, but the LE5 is more balanced than the MQ-11. The MQ-11 has better speed and capacity than the LE5, but when you take into account you're fighting undead sponges that absorb everything, it doesn't matter. I like my weapons like I like my tacos, with a little kick, so I always went for either the Lightning Hawk or the W870, especially when it came to destroying those stupid fucking biocores, whom, even as inanimate objects, are also bullet sponges. Now again, you cannot replenish ammo for the weapons you buy out of the box. You also cannot buy that weapon twice. The melee weapons, however, are infinite, so you can buy as many of those as you want. Go nuts. There's also special weapons that you can obtain by defeating a supply zombie. These weapons include rocket launcher, Gatling gun, and even the spark shot from Claire's scenario in the original Resident Evil 2, which here it's a million times better. Honestly, it's my favorite weapon I've ever picked up from the supply zombie. It's great for dealing with enemies under the control of the Mastermind. If you don't keep those enemies in check, they will destroy you. And with the spark shot, once you fire off a round and that round connects, you immediately incapacitate the enemy. All in all, I didn't find myself too concerned with the weapons until we made it to the third area when you have to destroy the fucking biocores. Now, surprising to myself, I was very strategic when playing this game, as opposed to how I usually play games where I just buy the biggest gun and going guns blazing. It's just not a strategy I was able to implement playing Project Resistance, and besides, buying weapons from the box takes away from the limited amount of time you already have, so for me it was a waste to even go to the box before the third area. In the Project Resistance beta, we were only given one map to play, and that was downtown. But don't be fooled, you're not playing in downtown Raccoon City where there's wide open spaces and awesome views of the city descending into madness as it's consumed by a slow burning death. No, you're trying to escape this office building that houses a secret Umbrella facility deep underground, and the building just happens to be located in downtown Raccoon City. Every area is claustrophobic, very tight spaces, as linear can get. I think the design is meant to build tension and evoke fear knowing your enemies are so close, but it really just pisses you off due to the fact the Mastermind could potentially spawn in 12 creatures in any single area at any given time. Everything feels chaotic and rushed because of the close proximity, and when playing as the Mastermind, you're able to choose from a list of defensive presets dictating the key and enemy placements, which helps to add to the confusion. I'm not saying it's a bad map, but it's not great either. Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City had a lot of fun maps just like downtown, but done so much better. I'm also not a fan of the in-game loading screens that force us to wait for all players to meet up at the exit before sending us to the next area. Seriously, fuck those people. If they want to go exploring when we're ready to go, then they deserve to get left behind. Let them die. I mean, come on. They give you the choice in the final area to escape without your team, but you can't leave them behind at any other given point in the game? Say it with me, kids. Bad design. Now, I don't want everyone to get the wrong idea here. Project Resistance isn't trash. It actually has potential. While playing the beta, I was overcome with a highly competitive attitude, which I can only attribute to the fact that the Mastermind holds such an advantage over the survivors that no matter what, I wanted to beat him. It didn't matter how many times I played, it never became a dull experience because I had a set of goals for myself which dictated my strategy, and even with every failure, I was constantly going back to the drawing board, re-strategizing, and then playing another match to see how my new strategy fared against the Mastermind. At this time, I've only ever escaped twice, both achieving an S ranking in doing so. It felt good to win, and even though it didn't happen often, the game still kept my residual interest, which I originally didn't think it was going to. I loved being able to control the zombies when playing the Mastermind, although not every enemy can be controlled. It would have been sick to play as a Licker or an Ivy, but I guess the devs didn't get that far into development by the time of the beta's release, or maybe it was never their intention, which is kind of disappointing. I enjoyed the characters' abilities as each were unique and did make a difference in the team's overall success. I found January to be my main because she's the best defense against the Mastermind with her ability to hack into and disable the Mastermind security cameras. I developed a strategy with her where at the start of the match, while my teammates would immediately go for the box, I would run right into the map, try to make my way into the office as fast as I could. Now, believe it or not, this would actually piss off a lot of the people playing the Mastermind because it forces them to change their strategy and improvise in order to deal with me before I get too far ahead. All too often, I'd be in the middle of a game, then all of a sudden the Mastermind would spawn Mr. X just to come and take me out and not even acknowledge the rest of my team. There was one Mastermind that played Mr. X who took me out and then kept pushing me back while I was on the ground so I couldn't crawl over to my team for help. I had one really salty Mastermind that used Mr. X to take me out, and even as I'm on the ground dying, he's swinging at me vehemently instead of going after my team to effectively convey his disapproval of my strategy. I thoroughly enjoyed taking on the Mastermind with January, constantly foiling their plans, forcing them to come out and fight us head on. There were some Masterminds that really gave me a good fight, and as pissed off as I was at how good they were, I had to respect them. I really enjoyed the challenge. So trust me when I say there is fun to be had with Project Resistance, but Capcom needs to tighten up on the mechanics and the animations, speed up the survivors, and slow down the Mastermind, hopefully in doing so finding a perfect balance in the end. That's it for this one, guys and gals. Thanks for watching, and a big shout out to everyone who played with us during the beta test. What do you think of Project Resistance? Were you chosen to test the beta, and if so, what did you think of the game? Would you like to see this fleshed out into something more than just a demo? Let us know in the comment section below, and if you liked the video, give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more content like it. Clicking the bell will keep you notified whenever we upload something new, and we're always uploading new videos, whether it's news and discussion, let's plays, long plays, replays, if you're looking for video game entertainment, we've got you covered. But until next time, dudes and dudettes, I'm Derek with GameSomniac, and I will catch you bitches later. Bye-bye!